Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of the I Will Aim podcast. Our topic for today is the background of the movie Consequences of Tomorrow with special guest Kira Benson. Welcome, Kira.
Hi, Will. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today.
I think we'll start with having you introduce yourself so my audience could get to know more about you.
Sure, absolutely. So, as Will said, my name is Kira Benson. I am 23 years old. I am a recent graduate of Felician University with a bachelor's degree in communications, digital media, and culture. I'm currently attending Western Governors University to get my master's degree in business healthcare administration. And I have a lot of history with all of the arts. Creativity has always been my passion. And I'm beyond thrilled with all of the experiences I've had with film and radio, writing, and I'm really looking forward to more experiences to come.
Thank you, Kira. Welcome. And to my audience, Kira is very humble. She had created a couple of short films, entered to a couple contests, and won a few already. So I just want to highlight that. Just
Yep.
want to give a quick background around the movie, The Concepts of Tomorrow. I think AI is something that everyone talks about. In fact, no matter what show you tune into, what article you read, AI is there. AI is all over the place. And I had a similar experience. I wouldn't say when I was growing up, back in 1985, when computer become sort of started to become mainstream, and I fell in love with computer. I was given an opportunity to take a computer class when I was a senior in high school. And when I learned it, I said to myself, oh my God, this is something that I want to do. And I remember back in the day, it's the same thing where people talk about computer like AI, right? People keep on talking about it. And what the reason why I created the passion project is because I want to share the same story that I embraced that journey and look at what happened. I have 30 plus years of joy in being a developer and creating software, and look at how computer have changed our life. And AI is the same thing. If we harness the power of AI, if we embrace AI today, our life would be so much better in the future because AI would complement us. We would do the work and AI would make it more efficient, better, faster. So that's why I created the short film. Came up with the idea of creating the short film. And I did reach out to Kira, a very successful director, writer herself. I reached out to her. I was wondering whether who could I collaborate with. And I was thinking about the YouTube video that Kira created, and I actually watched them and I said, maybe I'll reach out to Kira. And that's how I end up collaborating with Kira. So, my first question for you, now that I gave the background of the movie, what was your inspiration as we were working together on the initial phase of writing the script? And how did you make the concept come to life?
Yeah, so I actually conducted a lot of research on AI technology before even writing the script or beginning to write. Because to be completely honest, I really didn't have a lot of prior knowledge on AI. So when you came to me and said, "Hey, why don't we create this film?" I knew my like specialty was always like horror and thriller films. So when you brought this new idea to me, I was like, you know what? I want a challenge and I want something new to work on. So yeah, absolutely. Like let's do it. So I made sure to like take the time to do my research on AI and really read like a lot of articles, but also talking to people too about, just even everyday people about their thoughts on AI, how they felt about it, like talking about their knowledge on it as well and everything. So that way I could get as much insight as I could to make the film as realistic as possible. Because once you talk to people and gather all of this information and knowledge on something, it's so important to gather all your resources and then turn it into a story. So that's kind of how I went about making the story behind the movie because I was able to talk to so many people and do so much research and everything. But from there, it was kind of giving that all the characters, those feelings and emotions that make us human, and being able to connect and empathize with those emotions. And from there, once the script was written, it was about reading it out loud, like having people read it out loud and really listening to what I wrote to make sure that did it sound good? what could have been changed, what wasn't working, what was realistic to people that would really make them be comfortable and like emphasize with what they're watching.
I really like the way you explain your research, interviewing,
Yes.
researching, talking to people. And then the last part, which is really what I love because I saw it when we do the taping, is really how the written word comes to life, right? Like as
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm there watching the taping and hearing people actually saying the words from the script and how it becomes like real and how
Yeah.
you could actually connect with it. I had the first hand experience, so it really goes to show the talent that you have. And I really want to thank you for partnering with me on this project. Now, my next question is both as a writer and director, because often you're either a writer or director, but you're in a unique position. You were both the writer and director. I gave you the high level topic per scene, and you kind of created each of the scene and all the detail. How did you approach translating the vision from the script to screen? Because it's different to have a concept, but it's another thing to actually have it come to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like whenever I do write any script, I always make sure to envision bringing it to life as I write. So, whatever I'm writing, I always write with an intention to bring it to life in a capable manner, of course. So, once I had a script, it was all about creating a shot list. So I made sure to go line by line in the script and I envisioned exactly how I wanted that shot to look with my camera. So like every shot was made and chosen with intention. So for example, toward the end of the film, there's a scene between Chelsea and her father David. And in the scene, they get into a huge disagreement. And those camera shots were close-ups on each of them, cutting back and forth between the two people as they said their lines. But this was chosen on purpose because it was to symbolize the separation of their thoughts and how they were in disagreement with each other. And if you watch closely, you actually never see Chelsea and David in the same camera shot until the very end of the film when they come together for the first time in agreement on the decisions that they had made. And all those camera shots were chosen with a purpose and with symbolism. So that way, even if you're not directly realizing that, your brain is mentally realizing like why they're separated on camera because they're never in agreement with each other throughout the whole film.
Wow, that blew my mind, right? Like, because I actually saw the taping; it's separate, and then when the final film came together, like I said, I also saw the last part where they both had their conversation. Wow, that's really impressive how you put those, and actually make it even harder to take the shot and put them together. So to actually take artistic and creativity to the next level, challenging yourself by taking those shots and trying to put them together. In fact, I think you should create a master class of creating the script and each of the scene. I think we should go into that in detail next time. Kira master class. I think that's now an idea for the next episode. The next question I had is how did you balance the futuristic concept with the current reality? Because that was one of my challenges for you when I was asking you to make Ali human like, not
Yeah.
robot like. Because it's easy to say, we're gonna do AI, let's make them look like robot, like a box. But you challenge yourself to say, I want Ali to be human. And now how do you blend that together?
Yeah, absolutely. And, when creating the film, we both discussed from the start that we wanted to have that balance of futuristic concepts, but also our current reality. And I wanted the movie to take place in our current timeline, like our current time ever. And this is because I wanted the audience to understand how real AI technology is and how realistic the film could be to a point if we're not so careful with technology that we so graciously have. And of course, like having a talking robot with feelings is more of a futuristic concept, but by placing that into our current time period, we're creating a world that could potentially become ours one day. Not just mine, but anyone who's watching the movie. And I think understanding that while watching the consequences of tomorrow really makes you understand the balance between what the future holds and what we currently have with AI technology. And I think that was super important to be able to portray that throughout the film.
That's actually really, really excellent point because a lot of people that I shared the link to, a lot of them were saying, "Wow, it's really amazing how you were able to portray Ali to be like human, to live with human, like coexist in many ways. You actually make Ali a friend, like a roommate buddy, right? To take it
Absolutely.
to that even extent, it's make it more human, right? I think it was really impressive, and many people that watched the movie have said that the message in the movie and the way it was portrayed was really amazing. And I would put a plug, 9,300 views on YouTube. That says a lot about that particular short film. So let's
Absolutely.
go to the next question. Can you walk us through some of the challenges you face while directing and how you overcome them? I want our listener to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, we were just talking about Ali because when it comes to directing any movie, of course, there's going to be challenges. But for this film in particular, I think one challenge I really faced was directing Ali, like her character as a whole. And I just do want to give a shout out to the actress Kristen Bombell who played Ali because she absolutely blew it out of the park. Playing Ali, she did wonderful. I wouldn't have changed anything that she did. And I like remember casting Kristen in the role of Ali. And we were actually at dinner together. And I remember her sitting across from me and saying, "So I'm gonna be playing a robot?" And we kind of both laughed about it because when you say it out loud, it kind of sounds silly. Like, yeah, you're playing a robot, but
Yeah.
like not really, because Ali just isn't a robot. She's so much more than that. She is a piece of AI technology that learned human emotion. And that's so important in the movie plot and is something I really needed to be careful with when directing the film because I wanted to make sure I was showing that emotion being developed over the movie. So not only did my directing matter for this, but Kristen's acting choices mattered too. So we really took the time to choose, how should Ali speak? How should she walk? How should she move her arms? How should she dress? How in camera angles would she be placed? How would her eye contact be compared to the camera, where the camera placement is? And all these were directing calls that I had to make, and I'm really proud of them. It came out phenomenal. And when I watched the movie back, I really developed the most emotion for Allie, like out of all the characters, because you feel sorry for her over the movie because she becomes so attached to Chelsea, like you said, like almost like a friend, a buddy, and has that stripped away from her by the end of it, and having that emotion is key to making the audience feel what you're trying to portray in the film. And I think that was the hardest part about directing The Consequences of Tomorrow, but was so important. And I just absolutely loved the way Ali came out, like as a character. I think she was perfect the way it came out.
But I have to say, you created the alley. But I also have to give Kristen a shout out. Amazing job. Especially the aspect that I was a bit worried about is the emotion.
Yes.
Because Ali needs to be, because AI don't have an emotion. They're not there yet, right? They have not developed the ability to learn how to express emotion. And for her to be able to to act the part without the facial emotion was really amazing, because that's really really hard. That took acting to the next level, but that's how you created it, and that was really impressive. Shout out to Kristen. Really appreciate your hard work. And next question: how do you use cinematography, sound, and the element to enhance the emotional impact of the story?
Yeah, so when it comes to making a movie, there are so many different important aspects that really make the film come together, come to life on the screen. All are equally important, as you like learn to realize when you become an editor. And for all of my films, I have always directed, edited, shot, and wrote all of my films. And the reason for this is I like to be able to make that connection between all four and bring it together myself. And it's so important to keep all four of those things on the same pathway. That way, when you make the final product, it all comes together in like a clean and pristine manner. And I really like to think I used cinematography to my advantage the most when it came to Ali, because I wanted to create a visually appealing way for the audience to see things from Ali's perspective. And so that's what I did. I managed to take my camera and pretend to be Ali and get eye level shots of what she was seeing throughout the film. And from there, when I moved them into like right sequences in the scenes to allow the audience to see things from like her side, from her perspective. So when I went into the editing room, I used techniques and sound as well to create this visually impaired screen that made Allie's eyesight seem different from a human's. And I wanted it to be different because Allie is different because she's AI, but I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that the audience was still seeing what was actually there, even though it was distorted because Ali is also learning human emotion. And that was
Yes.
all to symbolize, even though she's a robot, she's still connected to the human world. She's still made by humans. So when I created this visual for the film, I still wasn't like set on it completely until I added sound effects over it. I couldn't just I wasn't liking the fact that it was silent at first when you were seeing things from her perspective. All you were hearing was just the regular background noise. I said to myself, like, it needs something more than that. So, what I ended up doing was I took different noise frequencies and I put them all together into one soundtrack to create this like generalized, almost white noise background to layer
Mm.
over the shots. And then when I watched it for the first time, I almost felt like it drew me in more because as the audience, you question, like, what is that? Like what is that? Why does it sound like that? And it really makes you question things, just like how Ali was questioning the human nature of all the characters and all the people around her. So that's kind of how I came up with that concept. And I thought it was very like interesting choice, but I liked it. Like I felt like it worked. And every person that I showed before it was like posted, just to get like a couple people's opinions before the final editing was done, a lot of people were like saying to me like, that was such a unique choice. And I was like, oh, like I chose it for this reason. And I think it just ended up working, you know?
That's what we call creativity at its best, right? Being able to think through something, create something, and implement it, right? And test it. Wow, that's impressive. My next question is, were there any scenes or moment on the film that hold a significant or special in you, and why? Something
So,
that a scene that's special to you, because there's one I would share mine too, but I
okay,
want
yeah.
you to share yours first.
I think the one scene that holds a special significance to me, and I think it'll always hold a special place in my heart, is the scene between Chelsea and Allie when they're in the living room. And this is the moment when Allie is really trying to be helpful to Chelsea and understand why she's feeling so upset. But Chelsea is just feeling so much hatred and anger and sadness towards her father that in the moment she takes it out on Allie. And I think that the written lines here were absolutely perfect for the scene. And every time I watch it back, and even when I was editing it, I think I watched the scene like 50 times over just because it just worked so well. Like the lines were written so well, and the actors really portrayed the lines so well. And I feel like every time I watch it, I really feel like a heavy weight on my heart when you watch the scene play out because you can not only feel Chelsea's feelings of heartbreak, but this is the first time you can feel that Allie has feelings too. And the fact that like at the end of that moment, Allie looks up how dads should treat daughters, show that she has the feeling of caring. And it's really a moment of like awe, like you're kind of like drawn in more to the movie. So every time I watch that scene, like I almost want to cry a little. Like you really you feel sorry for Chelsea, but you feel sorry for Allie because she feels something for the first time that AI shouldn't have, but Ali has now been capable of doing.
Think that in that particular scene, I like that one too. That I love that scene too. Especially, I felt Ali had turned the corner and learned empathy. Right? In
Yes.
that moment, Ali is empathizing with Chelsea. But the scene that actually had significant impact on me was when Ali took matter into her own hands, and she said that
Yes.
she wants to change it. To me, that was like, whoa, AI learned. AI would learn, but AI learned and take into consider human empathy and feeling of caring for someone. Wow, that blew my mind. So that was the moment when I was like, this is really amazing because we took a concept from one end, not just to deliver it, but we actually took it to the next level where if the people's watching it really immerse themselves, not only do they feel that discussion before Chelsea and Ali that creates that emotional tag for Ali, And for Ali to now think about how I could actually, it's not, I don't want to use the word revenge, but really redeem that,
Yeah.
moment to say, I want change. I want change. And I was like, wow, that is taking to the next level.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. That was a really great scene too. Especially the moment where she's like in the office in the conference room and
Yes.
David walks in and is like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, what are you doing?" Because it's almost like the tables have turned and like now she's in charge, not David. And it's just it really I love the way that that all fell into place like that.
Well, that goes to show your creativity and how you created that scene and sequence. Now I want to go to like, what do you hope the audience take away from the consequence of tomorrow?
Yeah, so my hope that the audience takes away from the consequences of tomorrow is like a few things, I would say. Number one is I want audiences to realize that our world is not too far off from this film. If we aren't careful with the wonderful AI technology that we have, things can go south. And I'm not saying like a legit robot will take over the world like how Ali was trying to do or anything. Technology fails sometimes and we
Yes.
can't be so heavily reliant on technology 24/7. We're all human, we all make mistakes and technology is made by humans and it is absolutely wonderful that technology is advancing more and more every day, but I think people need to always have in the back of their mind that technology is made by humans and there are going to be moments where things fail and we're going to have to rebuild it back up again. But what I also want people to take away from the movie is something that I think Chelsea's character learned. When you want something in life, like you can do it. Just because you have like one career path doesn't mean that you're stuck on that path forever. And Chelsea makes that choice in the film. And I think that's so important because I know so many people who have dreams and aspirations to do things, but they're so focused on their current career that they kind of push their dreams aside. And like I currently work in senior healthcare and I truly have a passion for it and I absolutely love it, but I also have a passion for the arts and filmmaking is just one of my passions that I make sure that I pursue on top of my career in senior healthcare. You don't just have to have one career or just one dream. You should strive to achieve everything that you want in life, no matter what other people think. And I like to think that I try to be a prime example of that. I try to achieve every dream that I have. I always wanted to work on films, but I also want to help people. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing my regular career of helping people, but I'm also making these wonderful films that are inspiring people to do better or to like rediscover themselves or whatever the case may be, depending on the film and what I like want you to take away from it. But I just think that's so important. And I don't think enough people push themselves to achieve their dreams.
That last part of your message, I'm gonna make it a short clip. It's phenomenal, right? It's telling people, don't just do one thing and not chase what you're passionate about. What you're doing right now, you're absolutely right. It's a perfect example of, you have something that you're working on, but you can do other things that you're passionate about. Explore and try new things and test it, because otherwise you wouldn't know, what it's like unless you actually give it a try. So I'm definitely going to create a short clip on that particular message. Next
Absolutely.
one, as we wrap up this interview, looking back, is there anything you would change or you would do differently with the project? And what have you learned for future films? Because we're thinking about a sequel.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, looking at the consequences of tomorrow as a whole, I don't think there's anything in particular right now that I would change because I'm really happy with the way the film turned out. But one thing that I have learned, and I wish this could have been different, but it's the way it happened is I wish that I could have had some more reliable actors to work with because as you know during this project we were on set and we had an actor drop out 15 minutes after filming had started and like things like this happen like even in the real film industry people get sick, things happen, whatever the case is. I always try to prepare for like the worst case scenario and I have to say like I really thought quickly on my feet when this happened, and I changed the entire character from like John the salesman to Jane the saleswoman,
Yep.
because that's who we had available. We had, Shannon, who was willing to step up into the role, and she was someone who hadn't already been on camera yet, so it worked. Like she wasn't playing any other role, and no one would know the difference, of course, and but it's just something that could have been avoided with more commitment from like the actors. And obviously there's always frustrations, like I said, but this is something I plan to like learn from and use to my advantage going forward, with any film, even if it's for this sequel or if it's for any other films. I'm just going to make sure that I continue to prepare to my best ability and make sure I'm with reliant people that are going to actually put their heart and soul into the work. And, obviously everyone in this cast was phenomenal. I mean, they all worked so hard and really learned their characters and really developed feelings and emotions for their characters and portrayed that on the screen, which is hard. Not a lot of people have that capability, but I felt everybody in our film was able to portray that, and they did it really well. And I just think it's good when you find good actors. You need to like treat them well and keep them in your circle, so that way they'll always come back to work with you again.
Well, the last part you said, you actually did a phenomenal job because that was a last minute thing. You pivoted, you came up with your new idea, and boom, we continued taping. So that's a testament to your ability to uh, to address challenges head on. So I really want to commend you. Before we close, I would really want to thank you, Kira. I couldn't say this enough. You're an amazing talent, a great writer, director, and a team leader for the team. You essentially help assemble the entire team and created this short film that I hope it will stay out there for a long, long time. And I'm looking forward to create a sequel. But really want to thank you for your time today, for first stopping by and being a guest on my podcast and truly sharing with my audience how this film was created. So thank you for your time today.
Absolutely, anytime. I'm more than happy to come back.
Thank you, Kira.